on the subject of motion, there's a point that has to be cleared up. It's called, what is dance? What is dance? It can be called rhythmic movement. It can be called a lot of things. But now it's become a little bit more complicated. Let me explain. Take breakdancing. It's something, hey, look, I used to do it a day. But the truth is, it isn't dancing at all. You can call it acrobatics, and you're right. Gymnastics, maybe. Exercise. Dancing, you can't call it. In order to keep in your head, can't keep a seeing all different now. There are exercises stand between and you must have them. Okay, and it's a little more complicated than the rhythm. But we'll start with the basics. Rhythm. To move to the rhythm. Now, there's another thing called it is not rhythm. It is to rehearse moving to the sounds. What you do is get a sound and you rehearse over and over moving to those sounds to synchronize your movements with the sound. No, rhythm is something you have to have. You have to be born with it. You have to have it. You can't learn it in a book. There's nowhere you can. No one can give it to you. And those who don't have it don't know that because they don't know what it is or what it's like or what it feels or anything. They just wish for it. And they want someone to give someone have it. Say, hey, rhythm, teach me. You teach a person rhythm. This is the first thing they were told. All right. Now, they say 3 or 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, regardless if the music is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, it's still synchronism because real rhythm is the wrong word. It's not the right word. Rhythm implies the drum beat, the tempo. See, this is a word given to it by people who didn't have it, who couldn't do it. They attached this name to it. It wasn't attached to it by the people who do it. It was named given to it by outsiders who had no idea what they were naming. All right, because that's the best that they could do. They could be, I can't keep the time. I can't keep the tempo. I can't keep the beat. And this is what they attach to rhythm. But when someone like a black person says rhythm, they're only using the word they're given, but they're seeing and feeling, and they're only using the word that they were given. See, it's a word like synchronism, only learned born. It's to sense what the music is going to do. It's to once you hear the first wave of the music, you can repeat it instantly. You can get right with the pattern of the music as soon as you hear the first few bars. And you don't have to count in your head and do set movements. You can ad lib as you're going, still not the music. There's another word, but I haven't coined it yet. So there's copyrights and things involved in this type of thing. So what I wanted to do was make this point clear about moving and dancing. It's an age-old trick. If you can't keep time with the record or the beat, what they've learned to do is add more beats. The more beats you add, the chances are no one won't notice that I'm not on time with any one of them because whenever I come to a stop or turn or tap my foot, so it's best for the music. All right, that's not good. It has to go in a pattern that I can follow because it doesn't take any skill. It's just up and down. There's no swerve and a curve. Can't hear the swerves and curves in the music. They can't hear the dips. They can't hear pauses. All they can keep up with is the dun 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 or the dum dum when the beat. Funk lost them. When James Brown invented funk, when he invented funk, he lost it. Okay, he changed the whole music game. Gave their own music, something that couldn't be imitated. Something that when it was tried to be imitated, it came out to something that was better than what they were doing, but it wasn't as good as the real thing. Background noise, motors, look for subliminals as usual. Rewind this tape. If the same thought reappears in your head and it wasn't my words, then you know. A better word is uncoordinated. Okay, coordination. What is coordination? Mastery of your body. To be able to make your body do what you want it to do when you want it to do. Some people fake this because there's no background, no instrument measurement to measure their performance against. In other words, if you can't put your toe where you want to put your toe, when you want to put your toe there, you're not coordinated. The more accurate you are at a quick response, in other words, the, the time between the time you think it and the execution of it shows your coordination. So they give these speed tests for accuracy and agility. See, coordination has these words in it: accuracy, agility, rhythm, synchronization. They're all there, okay? But in their parts, they don't add up. Rhythm does not add up to coordination, it adds up to timing. And so, it's not something that can be given or learned. It's something that can be instilled, though. You got to understand that you have to be open to something or physically fit for something before you attempt it. You don't want to try to lift 5 pounds and you're not physically fit. Both your arms will snap off. Now, case in point, clothing. We broke ground 30 years ago when I taught the dance world to stop wearing leotards and tutus and dance shoes. Because in real life, they will do you no good if you're wearing regular clothes. So they would go to school and dress up in this special gear and take their lessons. And then they go out in the real world to dance and they start having problems dancing in hard shoes and regular shoes and regular clothes. So I got with a lady called Tion Sanders in Palm Springs, and we used her class as an experiment. Well, these children have grown up to be some of the greatest dancers and entertainers in this world, and they were a first experiment. Now, what I'm saying is this: if when people were wearing petticoats and girdles and ties and strings and buttons and latches, and another people weren't wearing any strings, any girdles, any restriction at all. They moved freely, and the other one was restricted, stiff, restricted, stiff. Okay, now you do this for hundreds and hundreds of years. Now you have a hereditary problem of stiffness, a cultural problem of stiffness, and these other people have a cultural advantage of looseness because of wear, just because of clothing, one factor. So there are factors involved in this that aren't racial exactly, except for they're cultural, okay? And they're given racial stigma, such as white people have no rhythm and can't dance, or so, all right? But it's more cultural than it is racial. It's the way that those particular people lived. It's the restrictive clothing that they wore, the restricting rules, the restricting behavior, even to this day. When you go to a black person's party, there's music and dancing and everybody's partying. When you go to their parties, they're barbecuing and toasting and having a dinner. There's not really much music and dancing, you know. And then when they have a big occasion though, there's music. But you would never go to a black person's activity and there isn't music. You will go to they don't play in their house, they're playing music through the week, work days, and whatever. Any time of day, they're playing music. When you go to this other culture, they're not. And as time went on, they began to more and more. So now that they're a lot better than they were, but they're not quite equal to these other people. So you always have mentally ill, insane people. And insane people are poor or homeless and they're rich and powerful. Now, if you're rich and powerful, you're insane and you have this type of subject stuck in your head, you plot evil plots. Evil plots like what? I don't like them having the advantage of me. I'm going to do something to bring them down a few pegs, as it's called. Okay? Now, I'm going to put them in some shoes that take away their footability. Okay? Makes their arch drop. It has artificial supports. It already has a arch because I'm flat footed. I'm going to take away their arch in their foot by giving them some shoes that already have an arch in it. So their natural arch muscles will collapse because they're not using them. And they'll naturally become flat footed. Without these shoes, they have no arch in their foot anymore. Now, only that, I'm going to give them heels that mess them up even more. And I'm again, and then I'm gonna. I don't like their butts. They have these big butts. They make me feel like I have no butt. So, here's a drug. There's a lot of drugs we've used on them, but this drug right here eats their butt up, sucks up their muscle tones. Well, they don't look so fit anymore after this crack stuff. No, they have no butts, and I look like I have a butt compared to their butt. Okay? And there are more evil plots, not just the same evil group. There's not no one evil group doing all of this. It has culminated over time when you got thousands and thousands of these sick individuals with power as they come to power. They still have things mad because they were bullied in high school and now they become a cop. And now they bully these people who remind them of the people they went to school with or might actually be the people they went to see. Now I'm your boss. My revenge. Like they say, the guys with the little ones are the guys with the big cars, you know, in the big trucks, it's compensation. When you plot genocide or something against a whole people because of your little personal insanities, you're one of our targets. Whether you're back in time, now, or in the future, we have you targeted and pinpointed. You're not good for society or the world, or even your own. You make them look bad, make them look all bad. They have to wear the jacket that you sold. That's how people are. I go through it every day. I walk in a store and people start following me around like I'm a shoplifter. Not because I look like a shoplifter, but because of the last 10 people who look like me who came in were shoplifters. That type of thing. So you may not be your brother's keeper, but it's not about how the world should be and what is right or wrong. It's about is. Always about is. This is how it is. It doesn't matter how it should be and if it's wrong and how you feel about it in your opinion. We only deal with is. This is how people are programmed right now. They group other people, and they group them by their complexion, and they group them by culture, by their accent and the color of their skin, their hair, and clothing. But this is not about that. I always cross-reference notes so that someone will go and seek the other part in another note. Because anything I mention out of context, like this is about rhythm, the other subjects I mentioned, there are other notes on that entire subject. And you would have to just sift through them. I don't know if I will ever get a chance to retitle these notes. They will be probably known by numbers. There isn't enough alphabet. Okay, now, so you would have to seek the whatever I decide to name them by number. I will try to put as many subjects I can, but people will probably end up having to learn them by number. I have so many songs, so many movies, so many books, so many things to do, lives to save, that I can't sit here. I can't even take the time to listen to these recordings myself, but once when I'm getting ready to post them or present them. I can't sit there and listen to them over and over and on that. And I have the time to even edit them in the proper way. So, getting back to the subject, motion. This is this tape is for the category on moving and motion. It's to help everyone. You know, we could keep this self thing to ourselves like we have for thousands of years, so that we have something that we feel they can't take, they can't rob us of it, they can't imitate or mimic it, even no matter how they try. This one thing is how we survived. Everything else was taken. It was the one thing that couldn't be taken, and we've come all the way back because we maintained one piece of our puzzle, and we've been able to put ourselves all the way back together because we were almost took for everything that was us, our identity, everything. This one piece saved us. That's why it's cherished, and that's why I'm making this note to make it clear to everyone what dancing is and what dancing is not. So we will attempt to share it with you. You know, um, we our attempts at being nice and sharing things with people and welcome to people hasn't worked out too well for us. You know, um, it has us wishing we were like the people who did bad things to us. Understand what I'm saying? They showed up at our shores. We could have killed them, sent them swimming back home without their boats, but we didn't. We welcomed them. We embraced them. We taught them our ways. We gave them our women. We did all these things. And history doesn't even show what they've done to us. Even the history's been an act against us. The omissions and the changing of history. We have come to them thousands of times with an idea, an invention. And when that invention became real and into the real world, our name what didn't show up anywhere, and nor was our identity, nor was our culture mentioned in its invention. Let me give you some examples. Paved roads. See, first of all, remember there's no such thing as black or white people. Okay? There's no such people. Okay? So you're going to have to find out who people really are and call them that because there's no such thing as those people. But for the sake of argument, we're going to use that term this last time. Look, black people invented paved roads. Black people invented the traffic light. They invented the walkie-talkie. They in their list of inventions looks like they invented your whole world. Now, your history says they were slaves and the world was built on their back or built by their hands. Now, someone now they're the original owners of the land Everything in it was invented by them. The majority of everything in it was created and invented by them. It was built by their hands and on their back. You explain to me why they get the smallest take out of the smallest cut. You explain to me why they're on the bottom and they're getting their smallest cut if they were the biggest contributors and if everything is actually theirs. This is a gravest horror. It is horrific. Fortunately, as in always, the, the parties responsible for setting this in motion, they're all dead. So you don't have to go any longer by anything that they said. Okay? A bunch of primitive people with mental problems that hadn't even been discovered in those days. And they tried to make a every man wanted to be king in England, and their mental problems made them think that they could achieve that over here. Okay, that's what this was all about. Every man being king. So you own slaves, you own property, you got people worshiping you, doing it. And it's like the the perfect plan. We all couldn't be king in England, but over here you can be a king. You can have subjects and servants and land and everything. That's what the dream was. Didn't work out too good though. It worked out at first for those people, but in the end, their descendants are taking the shame and the blame for their acts and actions. They're being looked at like they were the perpetrators. The descendants of the people it was done to look at them as bad guys, as bad people, evil people who've done an evil thing. The only evil they're guilty of is going along with a program they didn't even recognize as a program. It's just the way life is. This is the life I was born in. I'm just one person. How can I change it? And it's like a snowball rolling down the hill that just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Even the monsters who created and contributed to it never dreamed it would become this. There are some who think they're happy about it because they think they're prospering off of it. And it thinks it makes them feel better. They're still on that you could be a king thing as long as in order for you to be a king, someone has to be a peasant, okay? Someone has to be a subject. No one's going to serve a person in a world where everybody's really equal and have the same thing. Why would you bow down to me if you could run faster than me, jump higher than me, you were smarter than me, and everything except for when it came to resources? I had the resources and you didn't. So I can make you do whatever I want, or I won't give you the resources. Without resources, you die. That's basically the game. Sorry to get off of the subject, but we're going to the matter of motion and rhythm and the reason why none of these facts about that's not dancing hasn't come out and why it has occurred. It's all part dastardly plan made by many, many, many dastardly minds. Don't forget who started this, who our founding fathers are. See, we're always told this fairy tale about our founding fathers, but our founding fathers were a bunch of primitive people, okay, who peed in pots and carried it down to the river, who ate iron shavings to get iron in their blood. And most of all, people forget this. When England first attempted this, they were outnumbered. outgunned and already in a war over there. So they gave an amnesty promise to criminals and prisoners and let them out of jail, all of them. Didn't have to feed them no more, nothing. Take them over to the new land and dump them out at the least. But if they help fight the war, they would be free and all their sentences would be pardoned. Well, they did what they were asked of and they fought hard, the criminals did, and the criminals were able to beat back the savages, which is another lie, but that's another note, okay? Wasn't a bunch of savages living here in teepees. These people had booming cities and metropolis and running water and plumbing and all this. You look it up. They just uncovered one of these cities in America. You know, it's okay to uncover an Inca finding or something in Egypt, but in America, they're uncovering these things. Built way back before people say, oh, they were just a bunch of savages living in tents before we came to civilize them. It was the other way around. They would have died if we didn't teach them our ways. They died. They wouldn't have made it even if we didn't lay a finger on them. They would have died. So, the soldiers would have died. Everyone would have died. But there's always traitors. And we had those too, helping them for favors. So you have a new world founded by a bunch of primitive criminals with mental problems and criminal tendencies, a bunch of thieves and cons and burglars and murderers set loose in a new world who were told all you had to do is stick a stick in the ground and the land as far as your eye can see is yours. A land that already belonged to some people. So this dancing thing, people, the reason that it's important, it's not racial, okay? It's important to is. See, mental problems is being out of touch with what is, out of touch with what you call reality. So if you believe a lie, you're mental. But fixing these problems for you. You can't believe this lie anymore. That's not dancing. Okay? See you guys later. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Haha. Always that joke.